2020 was not an easy year for any of us, and Chanco was not immune to the challenges brought on by a global pandemic. However, our ministry also accomplished a lot last year and has much to be grateful for. Chanco on the James is a ministry of transformation and spiritual formation, a resource to our diocese, and an outreach ministry. Chanco is not just a physical place, but rather a ministry of the diocese. And in this year, when we were unable to gather in the usual ways, our ministry had to be flexible. All members of Chanco's board of directors are approved by our bishop. These individuals have provided valuable guidance and support through the past year. As was true of many small businesses across the nation, Chanco's revenues were drastically affected by the need to limit gatherings to stop the spread of COVID-19. Fortunately, we were able to cut expenses in several areas. Further good news is that Chanco received $78,900 in PPP and EIDL advance funds that we expect to be forgiven, meaning that this graph is a more accurate representation of our financial results in 2020, despite the fact that from a purely accounting standpoint, those monies will be recorded in 2021 as revenue. Chanco's donors responded to our need in a huge way last year, resulting in over $150,000 in contributions. And that number doesn't even include the generosity to the ongoing capital campaign. Chanco has a number of endowed funds that provide investment income, including the Maybury Fund and CLS Friendship Fund. The year started off with great momentum, with a board retreat at Chanco on January 10th and 11th, winter camp January 17th through 19th, and several members of Chanco team attending annual conference of Episcopal camps and conference centers at the end of the month. You heard from Chanco at annual council in February, and on March 1st, our new director of programs, Lexi Barnhill, joined the Chanco family. Then everything changed. Group activities were suspended, as were our typical camp operations. Chanco updated our cancellation policy to keep faith with camper families and guest groups. As previously mentioned, cancellations had a major impact on revenue, with 49 retreat events canceled, representing $186,848 in lost revenue. The positive news is that the majority rebooked for a future date. The board's decision to suspend camp operations for 2020 turned out to be wise. Overnight summer camps were never permitted to open last year. Our early decision allowed us to be better prepared financially and with alternative programming. Lost camp revenue was significant, but alternate camp programs brought in some funds, and the majority of camper families rolled their registrations forward to 2021, leaving their deposits with us or even donating them to our annual fund. In addition to the aforementioned Paycheck Protection Program funding and $10,000 emergency relief funds, Chanco also received $149,900 in the form of an economic injury disaster loan and an outstanding outpouring of support from our donors, and our application for a $100,000 Rebuild Virginia grant was approved. I'm so grateful to our bishop, board, diocesan executive board and standing committee, diocesan chancellors, controller, and treasurer for all of their support and collaboration through the entire process. Thanks to these many initiatives, Chanco did not experience a cash flow crisis in the midst of a pandemic, which allowed us to maintain mission readiness and uphold our commitments to the staff. A number of alternative programs were offered, including both virtual and in-person options. Staff worked tirelessly on projects to upkeep and improve the property. A new ropes course element was installed, thanks to funds from the 2019 Change for Chanco initiative. We upgraded our tractor and received the donation of a Jeep Wrangler. Additional components of the capital campaign project were added, and Chanco finally installed the high-speed internet that we have all been dreaming of. In 2020, the Chanco board also took major steps in an ongoing process to evaluate our relationship to the people on whose ancestral land Chanco sits and with the land itself. In this process, we seek to understand what our traditions are and what they have been, and evaluate if our current traditions reflect Chanco's vision and mission, especially as it relates to the relationship with all of God's peoples and with our diocesan work on repairing the breach. After Thanksgiving, the nation experienced another COVID spike, which necessitated that we once again pause in-person events. As 2021 begins, hope is on the horizon. With word from the governor's office that camps will be able to operate and vaccines in the news, we are planning for Camp 2021. This work is being done in communication with our bishop and the medical advisory group. We are also receiving guidance from the American Camp Association and state officials for a safe summer. So with that good news, let me leave you today with our session dates for the upcoming summer. We have already formed a wait list for many sessions and will expand our capacity as soon as we receive additional guidance from the governor. In closing, I thank each of you for taking the time to watch this presentation. May the Lord keep you and your loved ones safe until we meet again.